All right. So I'll start on page 266. And again, this is Longchenpa and the treasure trove of scriptural transmission. Indeed, a treasure trove. I think we're discovering that more and more lately. Let me summarize the significant points here. Well, we just went through, by the way, the freedoms, the five modes of freedom, and then um, the lifting constraints is sort of the topic that we're on here. Let me get the exact title. Five themes concerning the dispelling of constraints. All right, we're still on that topic. Let me summarize the significant points here. Even though deliberately contrived view and meditation involving a framework are taught, you should understand that they are within the realm of ordinary characteristics. As for what is completely ordinary and uncontrived, you should understand that consciousness failing to realize awareness in its bare state and being lost in response to sense objects is the thinking process in samsara. When the distortions of hope and fear do not intrude on the state of unobstructed awareness, all the sharp edges of concepts are worn away. You should understand that if there is no distraction from the context of that realization, there is a non dual state, which is the enlightened being of the victorious ones. The same Tantra states, Ah, the essence of the teacher is the all creating monarch, while the true nature of phenomenon entails no meditation or ordinary thinking. To abide in some vague state without thinking is samsara, pure and simple. To seek something and meditate on it is the path of concepts and characteristics. Therefore, the all creating one does not proclaim that freedom lies in abiding in meditative absorption that involves hope and fear. When realization severs the bonds of these two, one abides in the meaning of equalness, the absence of opposites, and the enlightened being of me, the all creating one, is spontaneously accomplished. Thus, the pith instruction is to focus one's undistracted attention on the heart essence, which cannot be cultivated in meditation. I would say that here we have some language barriers, in my humble opinion, okay? You can always fact check me and cross check me with other teachers, but undistracted attention on the heart essence. It says here the pith instruction is to focus attention on the heart essence. And then the very next line says this cannot be cultivated in meditation. And the previous line says this is beyond effort. So to me, there's an obvious translation issue here. It says to focus your attention when it just told you there's no effort here. So I'm going to give you my understanding of what this sentence really means. The pith instruction is to familiarize with awareness, okay, throughout the day and night, whenever you can. Familiarize with awareness. Does that mean you're focusing your attention undistractedly and holding it there? No. That means the more you familiarizing with awareness is like familiarizing with space. You just have to see it. And once you see it, it's there. You see something that's present. And through that recognition, that's why they call it recognition versus experience. Because through experiences, it involves conditioning. That effervescent sort of transitory uh, responsiveness. But now we're talking about something stable like a mountain or like space itself that just requires no creating, no focusing on it. You're already sort of in it, just like you're already in space. You're already within space. Same idea. Having dispelled constraints within the essence of enlightened being, which is beyond ordinary consciousness, you can embrace that being as the transcendence of the proliferation and resolution of thought and recollection. Since naturally occurring timeless awareness is without limitation or bias, it cannot be characterized as something, for all elaboration naturally subsides. Therefore, give up creating more concepts. Give up creating more concepts. Train in the ultimate meaning of supreme spaciousness, free of any foundation. You might notice I'm supplementing the word intent with being. I just couldn't, not for this part. Being, intention has been defined as thought, acts of consciousness. It has a wide range, but for me, intention just doesn't sound right. Uh, Enlightened being is more inclusive. I could be incorrect, you know. I've only been in Dzogchen for about 30 years. There have been others in it long enough, longer than me, and way longer, and more experience, and more have gotten more teachings. Since the essence of awareness is free of the limitations imposed by elaboration, it is crucial that the spiritual path of yogins who desire enlightenment not deviate from that essence, because the fruition will not be attained if the ground and path are at cross purposes. And this is the whole reason also why I'm so adamant about leaving your experience alone and the war with yourself. As we've seen here in the Sangha, some are much deeper than others in the war and the battle with ourselves. I can't imagine. I used to be in very similar type of programming and narratives. Just self-defeating narratives, subtle insecurities, you know, um, and then we end up treating others like that because this is how we program to treat ourselves. This can be reinforced by parents who are unskillful. For example, just a mom telling her son that her dad is bad. This happens a lot in families. If all his life the son thinks that the dad is bad, and the mom always reinforces that, well, guess what she's really saying there? Since the son is has 50% of dad in him, she's actually calling her own son bad, isn't she? Yeah, and it can go vice versa too, with dads really creating programming the child to hate the mother when the mother is in the child. So this is really devastating for kids growing up. They have one parent that they're supposed to hate, which means that they hate a part of themselves. And in that respect, that's just one example too. We have many types of programming that are instilled or installed, and we somehow have the karma with them, so we progress into them. Okay, so therefore, there can be no deliberate process of meditation using some reference point. There's simply no straying from the naturally pure state, the realization of bare awareness. This is the enlightened being of naturally occurring timeless awareness. It is free as the supreme state of total perfection in which nothing is rejected. The great Garuda states, responsiveness, which by nature expresses itself continuously in sense objects, is free in that these are empty objects rest in their natural state without being analyzed. So all sense objects, here you have essentially Togyal pith instructions as well, because they're dealing with directly that Nirmanakaya aspect, responsiveness. And so all sense objects, everything you hear, taste, touch, feel, and I would say we could more and more see how thoughts are sort of like sense objects. In fact, in Abhidhamma, they're treated as the sixth sense. And it's useful because we really tend to identify with thoughts and give them more credit, more weight than they deserve, as a matter of speaking. So um, here it says responsiveness. So, of course, that's that third part. There's essence, nature, and responsiveness. What is responsiveness? In a dream, when you go to sleep and your mind starts thinking about a tree, well, there's a display of your mind that responds to that thought and it creates a tree, right? So here you have responsiveness, your mind continuously responding to its own cognizance. It says, by which nature expresses itself continuously in sense objects, is free in that empty sems, that's a new word, sems, because that means conditioned mind, sems objects. Okay. But anyway, is free in that these empty objects rest in their natural state without being analyzed. So just like you treat your inner workings, your inner theater, start to expand the theater of your mind into the so called external, creating a oneness there. And within that oneness, you're letting everything just be. Yeah, you're applying all this advice to the totality of so called inner and outer, the totality of it, where the three spheres of conception mingle into one boundless sphere, the basic space of phenomena. It is free as the supreme state of total perfection, which nothing is rejected. Yeah, I already read that. The Guru. Okay. The very absence of extremes purifies the avenues to rebirth in higher realms. And so, in case you guys don't know it, in Buddha Dharma, it's, even though many beings out there, they love being godly and powerful. In Buddha Dharma, that's no good because you're going to be a god for a while. You're not even going to know it when the day that you die, and then when you do die, you're going to get flushed into probably a terrible situation, and the experiential contrast there is going to be absolutely shocking. And so it's not preferable, even though you live quite a long time as a god and with all these blessings. For me, as a poet and an artist too, it's not very nice because you can't really feel like deep empathy and pain and things. My opinion of it, and from what I understand from the text, uh, you can't really. Same with the demigods; they don't feel empathy as much. They're really stuck, and they have everything they want all the time. So and we see that with very wealthy people, powerful people. Sometimes they're so wrapped up in their power, it creates a bubble, and then it's impossible for them to be empathetic towards folks that are starving because they have all the food they want all the time. They just throw food away, right? And demigods are a little bit sort of one level below the gods, where it's I would even say you could see demigod. There are people on this earth that are very exceptionally athletic, or you know, maybe even intellectually, they could be on a demigod level. For me, it's always helped to look at the whole thing as a spectrum. So from the most subtle beings that you can't really even see, like ghosts and things, I'm sure there must be in all these dimensions. There must be something aside from us. So you have very subtle to very coarse, and maybe coarse is in the middle actually, because the gods and demigods they start to deal with in the non-material realms too. But yeah, so no, me being a human, I'm just giving you my human account of what I think demigods and gods are. But I encourage you, just like everything we do here, excuse me, I'm plugging my phone in. Everything that we do here, I encourage you to make it applicable. You know, if it applies to you. Uh, for me, that growing up Buddhist, that was useful to see it more in a human way, to see gods and demigods here amongst us. Okay, if you read Words of My Perfect Teacher, maybe we should sometime read it again. It gives much better descriptions of these things. Okay, but I'm just going to stay on the course here. To me, the six realms are very they stray into provisional. They stray into Sutrayana, and that's why Dzogchen is saying here, you don't even want to be reborn as a god, because we're sort of going beyond the six realms here into freedom. And so it's really, not the largest concern. And the all-creating monarch states, ah, having proclaimed the enlightened being of the all-creating one, the fortunate who engage all at once in yoga, one should further proclaim that there is nothing to cultivate in meditation or engage in, only attention to and familiarization with the expanse of realization. Ha! They used the word familiarization. I'm so happy. That see, it says here's another sort of oxymoronic sort of statement, though. It says there's nothing to engage in, only attention to. When you pay attention, to me, familiarization and paying attention are different. To pay attention means you're actually trying something. You're trying to do something. You're paying attention. Familiarization, on the other hand, you're releasing into awareness. That's really that. Here we have, these four stages. In that second stage of integration and familiarization, that's really what you're doing. More and more, you're releasing the four foundations of mindfulness into awareness. So your environment, your feelings and thoughts, and your body, all getting just more and more like a clenched fist. You're just releasing every day, and sometimes you won't even see how you've released into awareness. It's quite spectacular and magical at times, and sometimes you'll get pulled right back into your programming. It'll be horrible because you have freedom now, and you still get pulled into your ruts. But it's okay. Hang in there. We have each other here. So the only thing I can imagine that it's referring to in regards to paying attention, I suppose when we sit here, you can sort of be aware of awareness. That's the only way I can reconcile that part. Okay, so being aware of awareness does help. But really, that should lead you into a non-referential abiding, effortless abiding. I'm with you all. I'm still learning too. These are just my opinions. Take them lightly. Don't burn any Dharma wheels in my front yard for saying the wrong things. Okay, well, I think we can end there for the reading. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in that nice little reading session there.